Let's talk a little bit about work and karma yoga. So, in the ego identified state, desire is a fundamental aspect of your existence. Because, as we discussed earlier, the ego is a limitation imposed upon your infinite, perfect, and eternal true self, the absolute truth. So, the source of joy in the ego identified state is the achievements of the ego. I did this, I did that, I achieved this, I got into this company, I got into that college, etc. And therefore, in the ego identified state, your well being is tied to circumstances. What happens determines whether you're happy or not. But if you've realized that the ego is simply a limitation upon your infinite, eternal, and perfect true self, desire dissolves. Because when perfection is present and available to you, obviously there's no desire, because the very definition of perfection is that which leaves nothing to be desired. And since the ego is aiming for perfection anyway, if perfection is realized, the ego no longer has anything left to aim for. Therefore, it has nothing to gain or lose from action or work or karma. So, in as we discussed earlier, when the realization of the absolute truth has happened, the ego is reduced to a devotee, and the source of joy goes from the achievements of the ego to the greatness of the divine, the sheer awe, grandeur, magnificence, and beauty of the cosmos. And that is ever available and independent of circumstances. So, action or karma is meaningful only in the ego identified state, because actions have meaning when the outcome of the action is important, when it matters to you whether the outcome goes your way or not. And that is only relevant when you have something to gain from your actions, which is based in the belief that you need to gain something, which is again based in desire. So, in the self realized or enlightened state, the need for action is tremendously diluted, at least tremendously diluted, and in cases of higher intensity, rendered unnecessary. In the ego identified state, often you are in a state of playing zero sum games where your gain is somebody else's loss and somebody else's gain is your loss. This phenomenon is utterly terminated in the self realized state, because if somebody else succeeds, you're no longer threatened by that or jealous of that, because anybody's success is proof of the greatness of the divine. Your own success is also proof of the greatness of the divine. So, when your source of joy is the greatness of the divine as opposed to your own achievements, joy is ever increasing, bliss is ever increasing, and liberation from karma is achieved because actions are no longer performed with an ulterior motive in order to gain something from those actions. You simply do whatever you like doing because you like doing it. Exactly like, you know, listen to music or dance just as an expression of joy. So life becomes an utterly joyous experience when you shift from the ego identified state to the self-realized state in which you're aware of who you truly are, which is the absolute truth or pure consciousness. So the Bhagavad Gita states that the way to live is in a state of karma yoga, which is when you perform actions without expecting the fruits of the actions, or desiring or anticipating the fruits of the actions. And this is only possible when the perfection of the absolute truth is realized. Because in face of perfection, actions no longer are performed with the desire for the fruit, because whether you get the fruit or not is irrelevant when perfection is present. So step one is realizing the perfection of the absolute truth, and step two is reorienting your identity to align yourself with the perfection of the absolute truth. Let's continue later.